Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this HMCTS webinar on the Court of Protection. My name's Kim and I'll be helping my colleague Jess throughout the session today. Just going to start off with a few housekeeping parts first. Just to let you know that the session is being recorded and we will be circulating the slides, a link to the recording, links to guidance, etc. over the next few days, so you'll have access to everything. So please feel free to just listen and just take in everything that's being explained. We're going to take questions right at the end, and we've got quite a big panel of people that are all on hand to answer any of your questions. And with that, lend you over to Jess to begin the presentation.
Hi there. So I'm Deputy Service Manager for Court of Protection. I'm just going to talk through a little bit about the developments we've been doing before giving a demo on the live service. So we started the digital pilot back in 2020, just during COVID lockdowns, to enable more digital and remote working in the court. And from that we developed onto upfront notification, and we introduced a pilot to, like, the aims of the pilot was basically to reduce the touch points of everybody, reduce paperwork, improve the accuracy of the paperwork coming in, as well as the applications from litigants in person, as well as the professionals, and to reduce disposal times overall. By the end of the pilot, we had about 208 professional users onboarded, and it was well tested with just short of 700 applications made through that upfront notification process. So I'll be teaching you all what you know already, but the existing previous process was that people made applications to the court, and it wasn't until after the court had made some initial directions that other parties were then notified about the application being made. And then it followed on that the COP20 A and Bs were then filed to confirm service. Now, there were problems with that process in that we got insufficient evidence. Often in interim orders were needed, insufficient forms filed. We were waiting for documents to come in at different times, especially the missing COP20s, and documents to link up with the file and things came throughout the process, so it caused some inbuilt delays there already. And often there was the objections with no official grounds as well. So with the new upfront notification process, the forms are all used up front to notify everybody before an application is made. That increases engagement and helps parties understand what's happening. And the COP14 and COP15 are both used as the notification and acknowledgement forms. The applicant then collates those and returns them to court after the 14 days, just to make sure that you've got all forms. You'd then submit those applications to court, and at that point they'd go before an ACO to review your application. So benefits of the new upfront process is basically one of the big things is the digital submission process that we now have for those, to guide the user through what's needed and to make sure that we get enough of the correct information and the right forms. There's been fewer returns in that process. The users have a better idea of what's happening on their application because they've got all the responses up front. If there's going to be any objections, and hopefully those can be dealt with and talked through before the application comes to court. There has been some feedback indicating that that increased initial engagement has assisted with that, with reducing the objections that might otherwise have been made. Time given for service and the return of documents is obviously absorbed up front while you're doing all the other collation of financial information. So there's no delay when it hits the court at that point with waiting for the COP20 and COP20Bs, and there are no COP20s needed for the upfront notification application, so you'll be happy to hear about that. The fewer applications to scan, so we have more staff available to do the higher capacity work, and it basically allows the property and affairs applications for deputies to progress more swiftly through the court rather than those inbuilt delays of extra documents being matched up. And yeah, we're hoping for faster turnaround times overall when we've got the process embedded. So what's changed? So from January 1st, all applications for Property and Affairs Deputyship applications were to be made using the upfront notification process. The new practice direction came into force at the same time to confirm the same. We've got new forms to facilitate that change, which are the new acknowledgement and notification forms, the COP20 P&A DEPs and the COP15 P&A DEPs. There's also a new one, COP1 published, that has the new forms to say when people have been notified, or new box to say when people have been notified. Updated digital journeys. So we've done a digital journey for professional users that went live at the start of January, and the citizen link went live at the start of February as well, so that this upfront notification and the digital flow is available to all. So we do have a list of the required forms here, but I think it's probably best at this point to hand over to Steph, my colleague, who's going to just give you a quick overview of the digital flow to show you that digital application process. And I'll hand over to you, Steph, if you can share your journey.
Thank you, Jess. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Steph and I'm the Jurisdictional Support Officer for the Court of Protection. I'll now be showing you a video of the upfront notification digital process that will hopefully assist you with beginning the process. This video will be uploaded to YouTube, so you can have a look at that afterwards, and we'll also be taking questions at the end if there is anything. We do strongly recommend that you read the landing page before you start the upfront notification digital process. The reason for this is that any forms should be completed and ready to upload once you start the digital journey. As a legal professional, you should then click the highlighted legal professional tab. Also, if you need any help or support, there are support channels at the bottom of the page. Again, this gives an outline of what you should do before you should start, and anything regarding court fees and the details that you will need to provide. You should then select Start Now. Again, if you need any help applying online, the details at the bottom. We also ask that if you've got any suggestions or recommendations that you send those over to us at the COP eApps. So you should follow each slide through. Please note also that this portal is a submission portal only, therefore there's no save and return function. This is something that we're hoping to develop for the future. There are also optional fields that you can provide on each slide. Should there be any errors when uploading the information, you will get an error message at the top of the screen, and the screens will not let you allow to move on further. Any upload should be no larger than 7 megabytes. Again, email addresses are optional on certain cases. However, if these are available, we would always ask that you provide those. You should fully check your answers. If you should wish to change anything, you can click on the change button on the right-hand side. Once checked, you should then click the submit button. You will then receive an application complete screen that will give you your reference number and that you have now submitted your Property and Affairs Deputyship application to the court. As mentioned previously, we are constantly asking for feedback on the portal, whether that be positive or negative. So please do email us at the email addresses provided for with any suggestions for further improvements. Thank you. I'll now hand back over to Jess.
Thanks, Steph. So yeah, you can see we've obviously facilitated all the document uploads that are there already. There are, or there's a future hope that we will have save and return maybe in the years, like the end of the year, where we can put the C1A and other forms on there as well, so that we remove that need to upload forms. But yeah, there's a few improvements that we're still making as well. So we've recently changed the COP4 so that you can upload as many as you need on those rather than use them as additional documents. And we've added the under 18 question in as well to facilitate for anybody who was under 18. If there's any other feedback, then please do keep sending it through. We have some kind of top pointers of things that people are doing wrong currently, or not doing wrong, but just need to alter the way they're working. Is that some people still sending in the old versions of the COP14 P&A DEPs and the old versions of the COP15 P&A DEPs. Those forms are all online now. They have been for some time, but it's just a note to make sure that you're using the correct updated forms in those terms. We'll share the link to the forms page with the information after the seminar as well, so everybody has that. It's to note also to only send in the completed returned forms, so there's no need to update or upload a blank document with just your signature on it for the COP15s and 14s, just basically upload it when it's completed. The new P&A apps, only new P&A apps can be submitted online currently. We are looking to expand that in future to allow for any follow-up submission of applications that are to maybe alter or update a deputyship. But currently it's just the new P&A apps that can be submitted through the portal. There's also a note to make sure that you're waiting that 14 days after notification before submitting your application to court, because it's only at that point when the court can assume agreement with the application. That's unless you've got all forms, including the COT 14, back completed by those who've been notified. And just to note as well that the notifications last for 3 months. After that, if you're submitting after 3 months of those notifications been done, you'd need to re-notify so that you've got those fresh notifications done. Yeah, and at that point, I think I'll we'll see if there's any questions that have come in that we can run through. I don't know, Kim, have you got some questions submitted?
We do. We have quite a good mix of practical and sort of more theoretical questions. I can see that there's some questions as well that are quite long and quite specific. So, but for those of you putting in your questions, please put your name on, because we'd love to come back to you. But if we can't answer them here because they're quite complex, we'll follow up with you. So, I'll kind of go through those as we go. But yeah, just to get us started, there's quite a bit of interest in the save and return function. Is there any indication about when that might be available?
Sorry, what was that?
The save and return function.
So at the it's dependent on a different team developing that for us, and at the moment it's in their roadmap for the end of the year. However, yeah, we're hoping that we can make sure that we've got our forms ready to go at that point, but yeah, there's no confirmed date as yet, unfortunately.
Okay. Someone's also asked, it's quite a good question really, because it may be with some of our language. What do we mean by digital journey?
So by digital journey, I just mean the digital submission of the form, basically. So some of the questions are asked as a journey rather than it being a paper form upload. So in the when you're submitting online, it's done as a bit of a digital journey rather than you having to file the COP1. So the questions that would be on the COP1 otherwise are actually just asked as questions, directing you to, through the flow of the journey to make sure you're answering the right questions and uploading the right documents to accompany your main application. But there's no COP1 to upload.
Thanks, Jess. So someone's asked, can a deputyship application prepared on the pilot portal forms and signed at the same time, can they still be submitted, or do they need to use the new non-pilot forms? Because there'd been a delay in kind of uploading.
Prepared on the pilot portal forms and signed. So again, notification does need to be done within 3 months. So it just depends on timescales of when things were being submitted as well. I think if there's all non-pilot, see, it's like non-pilot, I'm not sure what they mean by that. If it's upfront notification, all P&A applications should be upfront notification now. If it's been waiting for a DOLS application at the same time, I think you'd be advised to submit the DOLS, and I think the lead judge has actually mentioned this previously on they'd be encouraged to do the P&A as an upfront property and affairs application, because that will most likely get that order through quickly.
Thanks, Jess. Someone's asked, if a deputyship order's been made using the portal and they then need to make a further application, say to purchase property, do they need to make the application using the portal?
If it's an existing digital case, they'd file it by e-filing for any applications within that case. If it's a brand new application and it's not a property in effect, it would be dealt with on paper. There's also the possibility of, like I mentioned before, the follow-up applications, such as needing to amend that deputyship or update a name or something like that. If a case is already digital, we'd want that to remain digital, so you could email those in, but it's the only the new P&A deputyship applications that are through the portal currently.
Someone said if they've got a master COP4 launched with the court, do they then need to upload a copy as well?
I'll throw that over to the
I'll take that.
Marla. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have a master copy of the COP4 lodged, you don't need to give us another copy, but if it would help to just give us the date it was lodged, so it's easier to locate.
Thank you. I think quite a practical question for you now. Someone said, if they're submitting an application on behalf of the proposed professional deputy, do they tick I am the applicant and then complete the box below with their own details?
I'm not sure on this point. So again, Marla, I don't know if you can advise, or if they're the applicant, it all depends. If they're the applicant, then they would. If they're applying on someone else's behalf.
So I take it the question is that there's someone from the firm is applying, but the deputy is going to be there is a named deputy, but that's not the person who's completing the forms. I think that's what the question is. So yes, then you would put your name down as the applicant, but on the deputy's details, that would be the named deputy. I think I've understood the question correct, but if not, if you could put another query there, we'll try and answer
do
that.
send an email. If there are any specific queries like this that sound like you need support, then please email us as well, and we'll try and address things like that. And then we can produce, frequently asked questions or make sure that things are clear in guidance in the journey to support any similar queries.
Brilliant. So someone has said, if a paper application was started last year and they're waiting for the COP3 to be returned so that they can submit the application, should they send in the old application forms, or do they now need to ask the deputy to complete the new forms?
They would be better off asking them to complete the new forms with a notification, and then it can proceed in the new way with everything up front, so that it would only reach, hopefully we'd get the order dealt with quicker that way anyway, even if it was sent in on old paperwork. I think now documents would be returned if they were on old paperwork.
Lovely. Someone says, what about a change of deputy? Can those applications be submitted online?
No, as noted before, those are still paper applications. If it's a digital case already, though, we have said if the previous application was already a digital case, it would be worth sending that in digitally so that everything could remain together on that file.
Lovely. Someone's asked, what is the process for urgent applications and interim orders?
So for if it's urgent court business, there's still the usual pathway for all of the really urgent cases. If you believe your case is urgent, there's a section on the application to select that you believe it should be treated as an urgent case, and you need to upload a COP 9 with details on why that's the case and any evidence in support of that.
Okay. We're flying through these. Let's see. Someone's saying they can't see a tick box for authority to sell a property for sole owner.
The authority to sell is within the COP 1A. So that's on that form that would be uploaded as a paper form rather than being in the digital journey.
Okay. Hope that answers that for that person.
Just to add on that, we have been asked separately as well about authority to buy property and anything in addition, because at the moment the COP1 paper form does have a kind of free type box where you can say anything else that you're asking the court for. At the moment we're just saying if upload like a cover letter or something like that as an additional document if you do need to highlight anything like that, until we've got something within the flow specifying those different options for the users. So just a point that you can still communicate that via an additional upload if you needed to.
Thanks, Jess. Really practical one for you. If people don't know the date that a person moved into their property, what date should they use?
I think it's the nearest estimate date, isn't it, that's actually detailed in the journey. So I think, yeah, it would be the nearest estimate. Hopefully you'd have some sort of idea of the timing, but I don't know if they could anybody else.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So it's we are conscious that you're completing information. It's not really your information, it's someone else's. So as with any field that you're completing, it's just the best of your knowledge, really. So if you don't know the dates, just give us maybe rough months or maybe the year. So it's just really as much information as you can give us.
Brilliant. Someone's asked if a COP15 PA DEP is returned with an objection that's subsequently resolved, does the person notified and or objecting need to complete another form? And if so, do both need to be uploaded? And does the social worker also need to file a COP24 outlining how the objection was resolved, please?
I think if it hasn't been filed already and you've got a COP15 that's been completed with the now agreement, then that, you know, if they've filed a separate one back to you to say that they're now in agreement, then you just file the one with agreement, because it's the upfront notification. There's no need to file you know, a conflicting one really. But if it's already been filed with the court, I would suggest sending in that then updated version, so that could be on the file as well for you know, the judiciary to review.
Someone's asked, where do they put the actual order that they're requesting? Is that still just on the COP3 form? For example, request to sell a property.
So if the requesting to sell a property, that's on the COP1 form, that there's a tick box on there to say that's what you're doing. But if there are any specifics like that, that's what we've said, just do it as an additional document upload until we've built that out in the journey. Because what we're looking to do is try and specify those options that people are needing. So again, if there's any feedback, if anybody can email in the information of what they're actually wanting to request, because we are doing some data capture on that to see if we can target that information a bit more to the users, because I think there are different needs between the citizens, the litigants in person and the professional users as well. So yeah, until we've built out that detail to capture all of those edge cases, then you can send it in as an additional cover letter, just saying what you're needing to request outside of the just a property and affairs deputyship application.
Brilliant. A really practical question on using the portal. Is there a way to print or save uploaded applications on the portal, and can you check for updates on it?
You can't check for updates because it's not a live portal like that. It's just a submission portal, so you're just making your application through that. However, you will get a copy of the application that you've made emailed to you, so you'll be able to, it'll be a copy of all your answers are sent to yourself on submission. And a copy of that is what reaches the court as well, so you see what the court sees.
Okay. Someone's asked, do we sign and date the COP15 PA DEP form before sending to the person to be notified?
I think the flow of it is that you'd complete it and sign to say that that's what you've completed, and then send it to them, and you'd only then file it once it's received back. with your application. So yes, you can sign it before you send it, and then it's for them to sign as well.
Okay. Someone said if they notify by COP15 but they don't get a response or acknowledgement, do they upload the COP15 as sent?
No, you only need to upload it if it's actually been completed, and you can say on the questions there's a has not responded, and you can select that, and it won't then ask you for the upload.
Someone's asked, is it possible to submit an application to appoint a trust corporation as a property and financial deputy via the online portal?
Looking at Marla and the ACO, yes, it is.
Yes, you can. So you can make the application as long as it's an originating application.
We've had a few more sort of comments or questions about the urgent applications and interim orders. Can you just touch on that again as to what people do in those instances?
So if it's a I know we have urgent court business, which is obviously the you know, definite urgent cases that need sorting within 12-24 hours, and we'd advise that the standard process is followed for that. But with property and affairs that you just class as urgent outside of the norm, which need to be looked at, you can specify that they're urgent within the journey. There is a question that asks, do you believe your case is urgent? And it notes on there that you'll need to upload a COP9 application with any evidence in support of that urgency. I'm trying to think of any examples. So if you're needing to release funds quickly to pay off you know, care home fees or something like that, I think that's it's specified within the journey. But yeah, if you can tick the box to say urgent and then upload your COP9 and any evidence, or a COP24 as well, witness statement, if that's what you have.
Lovely. Back to the portal again. I think there might be a few people that have joined us that are not that familiar with the online service. So could you just take us through how people set up an online account, where they find this online service, and some of the practicalities?
Yeah, so after this we'll share the link, and it's just on the Court of Protection Gov page, and the link is on there for professionals and citizens. There's no login, there's no need for any kind of access to be granted or anything, but you will, as a legal professional, need PBA, which is the payment by account, to be able to pay online and submit your application online. But I believe most people should have accounts within the service, and that can be set up within you know, not very long. I think it's maximum a week it takes to get an account set up on there. So if it's a link that we can share after this. I know we've sent it to anybody on our user list already with the information on how to set up PBA accounts, but it's just a matter of you then get a number that you can enter onto the service that we will use to take the funds necessary for the application. But yeah, you just go to the Court of Protection. If you search Court of Protection in Google, go to the Gov page, and all of the information is on there on how to do the notification, the links to the paperwork, as well as the how to submit your applications online. Okay. And if there is any, you know, we will be sharing the kind of a more detailed journey description and guidance on YouTube, and we can share the links and things after this event as well on any guidance for that.
Lovely. Someone says, where in the online process can they ask for costs to be assessed where they exceed the fixed fee?
We haven't got that within the journey currently, but I don't know if that's on any of the other forms that you'd be submitting. If it's not, it's something that we can take away to see if we need to include that for you. That's no problem. Again, if you could email that through to the feedback information, and we'll see if we can accommodate that.
Okay.
At the moment, just again, just upload it as a cover sheet just to explain the ask.
Okay. Someone's asked, does this process replace the COP1 form that you need to complete, and do you need to complete other forms on paper like COP1A, COP4, COP3?
Yes, so it replaces the COP1, and so you don't need to upload the COP1, but you still need to complete the COP1A as a, we're calling it paper, but you can do it as the PDF form, but then you'll need to upload that as part of this online submission portal. So the COP1 is all of the answers that you do and answer digitally online, and then the COP1A is one of the main documents. We have started recording it as a digital flow, but because of the size of the form and the data that's needed, we felt that it just wasn't feasible to do that as a digital form until we had a save and return function to make it more user friendly for you all. So that is something that is in the pipeline for when we can use a save and return functionality.
Okay. Someone said, will there ever be a development to track the stage of the application through its digital journey?
Yes, I mean, obviously we'd want to echo what other services have. Currently that's not available to us, but that would be the aim long term, to be able to have a live service like other services do.
Okay. Someone says, when you say new P&A applications only, does that include Trustee Act applications and applications for sale of property, because they thought it was just deputyship?
It is just deputyship applications.
Let's see.
So it's all new Property and Affairs deputyship applications.
Okay. Someone says, is there a timer when completing the form? So can they leave the screen and return to it later in the day? And I guess linked to that would be, if they can't, how long have they got before it will time out?
It allows an hour, so you've got an hour to submit the application.
Let's see. Someone says, if they're sending a paper application, for example, an authority to sell, do they use the new COP15 and COP14, i.e. is it upfront?
If it's a property and if it's a brand new Property and Affairs deputyship application and they're wanting authority to sell within that, that would be noted on the COP1A that they'd upload alongside that main application, I believe. So that would be what they'd do.
Okay. Someone has asked, where should they include the terms of the order they're seeking? They used to include it in COP1 box 4.1.
Yeah, so that's what I was referring to before, as because of the it's on the COP1 paper form or PDF form, but we don't have that. We can't have a free type box on the digital journey, so it's a matter of we need to gather that information. We're doing a bit of a data capture at the moment as to what additional needs there might be for the users to then be able to specify those. But at the moment, if you just upload it as an additional document or a cover sheet, then we know what else you're wanting to ask for there.
Someone's asked if you recommend making deputyship applications first through the portal and then the application for order for sale separately after.
I believe then that would just be, you'd just send documentation in on the, so we give e-filing advice on the portal and how to send in follow-up documentation for your case to make sure that it reaches it in the most streamlined way. We use e-filing, so if you do follow those instructions of emailing in with the title in your name and date in the title of your email, it should land on your case automatically. But yeah, it'd be a matter of submitting. Would it be a COP9 if it's within proceedings? I'm just looking towards. Yeah. So yeah, it'd be file COP9 digitally, and it'll be linked up with your case.
Brilliant. Let's see. Someone's asked, if they are making an application to revoke an EPA and appoint a deputy, should that application be made online or on paper?
I'm not sure on this one. To application to revoke. So if one's already in place, I take it, then I would imagine it would be an application on that case. So again, it would be just emailed in to revoke the application on that case, because it's within those digital proceedings already. I mean, we can follow up and confirm if it's not something that we've had yet, I believe. So, but yeah, I imagine because it's an existing digital case and you'd be wanting to make an application on that case, I imagine it'd be the same follow up.
We still have lots of questions to get through. Clearly lots of interest in this. So next one, someone's asked, when they last checked, the new COP14PA and COP15PA forms only had space for one applicant's name. What happens if you have two potential deputies applying?
Well, the COP14 and the COP15 PA DEPs, those are both for the people that you're notifying. If there's numerous people applying for the deputyship, they would be classed as the applicants that would be entered in the digital flow or on the main application form. So are you talking about multiple applicants, I presume, in this case, rather than, or is it multiple deputies?
I think it's they're saying two potential deputies.
Can I just take that one? So so we are just talking about the person. So on that form, you're just putting the details of the person who's notifying. So it's not going to be multiple names, isn't it? It's just going to be the one person who's
the person notified. Yeah. So basically, the COP14 PA DEP is used to notify the person who is assumed to lack mental capacity. The COP15 PA DEPs, you'd use 3 if you were notifying 3 other people. You'd use 4 if you were notifying, however many people you feel are part of P's life and need that notification. That's what you'd be using the COP15 PA DEPs for. And if it's the applicants and therefore the people who are applying to be the deputies, those are classed as the applicants. So I don't know. Hopefully that makes it clear. Again, if there's any follow-up questions, please do email in and we'll try and address any queries that we can.
Okay. Someone's asked, will paper applications be returned from now on?
No, there's still a paper path. We would ask that obviously all upfront notification should be taken place, even if on paper. And we do encourage quite strongly, if we can, to use the digital flow, because that's obviously going to be easier for everybody. But we won't be removing the paper flow just for access issues. But we will look to, push towards the digital process as much as possible going forwards.
Okay. Someone said, what's the process for a panel deputy application request?
Again, if you're applying for a panel deputy, this is something that we're looking to include in the flow to be able to request that. But anything outside of the normal standard property and affairs deputyship flow, if you just detail that on a cover sheet, like we said.
So Marla, this one's for you. It's a query following on from one of your previous answers. If the application is a trust corporation, then is it correct that they put the name of the applicant as the paralegal completing the online form and not the trust corp named as the applicant? Does that make sense, or do you need us to get that person to contact directly?
Yeah, I think ideally let's make contact directly. I think we do get instances where there is a representative from the firm applying, but maybe there is confusion as to what name should be put there. But we'll get some comms ready for that, so it probably clarifies the stance.
I think previously we have had whoever is going to be the carry the deputyship, even if it's a group of people, it would be that title that's put on them in as the applicant. But we've allowed for different a different address if there's different correspondence addresses or anything like that. We have allowed for that in the professionals flow. But yeah, reach out separately and we'll see what we need to accommodate there.
Someone's asked, can they make an application for a single order to terminate a tenancy, online?
No, it's just purely deputyship applications currently.
Okay. Someone's asked, if the original request and court order were done by paper and changes are needed a year down the line, for example, would this be done on paper or online?
If it's changes to an existing one, currently it would just be the paper route because it's not a new application to come through the digital path. But again, these are all things that we're wanting to look at and progress to digital as we go forward anyway. But yeah, currently it'd be paper.
Okay. Someone's asked, can they apply online to appoint a new trustee in order to sell a property?
No, again, just property and affairs currently. Not yet.
Let's see.
I like that there's appetite out there though for it, and we are trying our best, and we will look to develop it as much as we can.
Let's have a look. What will the standard order issue if no extra orders are required?
I'm not sure I understand the question really, but it would, if an application's made for a property and affairs deputy, it would just be a property and affairs deputyship order that was made if there were no other extra orders requested at the same time.
Well, I think the question might have been, is it? I'm not really sure. I think if it's just asking, or was it the timeline that they wanted? Like, when will the issue? If you're not asking for anything more. Sorry, I didn't really get that. But
if the person who asked that question wants to drop us a line, we'd be more than happy to give you a bit more information. I think we just need to understand better what your question is. Let's see. If you've notified somebody, but the documents have been returned because they're not at the address anymore, and the client doesn't know where the person has moved to, what should they do next?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to track it on the question. So if they've moved address and you don't know where they've moved to, I guess you could flag that. You'd have to prove that you tried every effort to try and find out where they've gone. If it's upfront notification, in theory, you know, they'll said if they agree or not by the time the application comes to court. If yeah, I guess there could be a court order to try and track and see if there's any known addresses through other means, but it would be a matter of making the application to court and explaining the detail of that, really.
Okay, brilliant.
And the decision maker and make a call as to whether, you know, any orders to track that person were needed or.
Okay. So we're getting some recurring themes come back from earlier on. We have answered loads and loads of questions, so that people might have missed some of the answers. So I'm just going to ask you to touch on a couple of things again for me. Someone's asked again if there are plans to allow people to track their applications, or is it going to just be for uploading?
Currently, it is just uploading. Obviously, it is a facility that we'd want to have in the future where you could track what was happening with your application, similar to other services like divorce, where you're logging with My HMCTS, but we're not. We don't have the same portals. We don't have the same tools at our fingertips in the minute. So it is just a matter of an upload portal, but it is what we'd want to progress to.
Brilliant. And can you also touch again on the setting up of the payment by account elements?
Yeah, so payment by account is just something that you can set up as your business to have access to. You would set it up with, I mean, we'll circulate the details after the after this presentation, but you basically reach out to a team that will set up an account for you. They'll give you a PBA number, it's called, and it's basically, it just says PBA and then 7 digits afterwards, and that's that identifies your account, and then all you need to do is enter that account every time you make an application, and we can pull the funds from that directly, so without any additional contact from you. So it is quite a swift and easy process. The team or the financial team, so long as everything's approved, will be able to do that within a week usually. But yeah, we'll send through the details of how you can set that up. You can also have different accounts within your firm as well. So you can have different numbers to one firm. So if you have other people making applications on family and things and you need to split out accounts, they can do that as well. So you're not restricted to just one number for your firm. But yeah, again, we'll share the link so you know where to follow.
Thank you. I think there's clearly been a bit of a theme about what names you put where on the process, so we may need to look again at that, but another person has said they're not clear about if a solicitor's firm is acting for the deputy, do they put the name of the firm or the deputy on the paperwork?
They would put both. So there's a place for the name of the applicant, and then there's a place for their solicitor or the person acting for them as well. So you put the applicant in the space for the applicant, and then the solicitor is added as their solicitor or the person representing them. But again, if we're misunderstanding or there's any specifics, yeah, do email in and ask us, and we could follow up on that for you.
Real change of topic now. What's the process for non-notification where P is a minor? Parents would be informed under these circumstances, but on the new portal there doesn't seem to be an option for non-notification. But instead they've been asked to upload the COP14 PA DEP. So
on the digital flow, if the party is under 18, it now goes straight to uploading the COP15s, which would be what you'd use to notify the parents. We have had requests for uploading the COP14 as well, where the person under 18 has been notified, in which case we've said you can do that as additional documents currently. But it's not currently a need. It's something that we're kind of opening discussions at the moment, because it has been raised since we changed it to just the COP15 that actually some people are notifying P under 18. So yeah, it's something that the finer points of it are being looked at, but currently you're not expected to upload the COP14, and you'd be expected to upload the COP15s, which are in the flow. But if you do want to, and you have completed the COP14P, you can do that as well, just as an additional document.
Thank you. So just before we move into our last questions, I've posted in the Q&A bar a link to the feedback survey for the event. Would be really, really grateful if when this is finished, if you could let us know your thoughts, whether you had all your answers that you needed, anything that we could have done to improve the session, just so that we can really make these as useful as possible for you. And also just a reminder that we will be sharing slides and a video and all the links to guidance after the session is closed. We do have 5 minutes left, so there's been a theme around timescales for getting orders back from a few people. So I wonder if we could just touch on those just before we start to wrap up, please.
Yeah, so the estimated timescales for getting an order back, as long as all okay via the digital pathway. We did within the pilot, the disposal times were very good in that they'd reduced by over half of what the standard ones were. So yeah, we'd hope that that would continue going forwards. I think it was under we've got 16 weeks is the usual target for property and affairs application, and it was coming well under that. So hopefully we'll keep it that way.
Let's see. Someone's asked if it's helpful to include a draft order with the application.
Yeah, still very helpful. So please do upload that as a additional document.
Okay. Do you know, I think we've nearly answered most things. Let's see. If you are notifying P yourself as a solicitor, but a social worker is, I think this question's a bit muddled. If you're not notifying P yourself as solicitor, but a social worker is, do you upload COP 14?
Yes.
That means something to you.
Yes, you do. Basically, the only time a COP 14 isn't needed, because the COP 14 PADEP, we have the recording of how P was notified and how they reacted. The only time that isn't needed in the flow is if the person completing the digital flow did all of the notification themselves, because those same questions are echoed on the digital flow. So yeah, whenever you are not the person who's done the notification yourself directly, you will need to upload the COP 14. It's one of the most important things, really, that you know, it's recorded how P was advised and their reactions, and yeah.
Okay. Someone has said, can they still submit applications by post on behalf of applicants?
Yes. Although I wouldn't want you to, but yes. We'd hope to encourage people towards a digital journey anyway, because it does make sure that you've got everything that's expected, and it guides you through the process quite clearly now. So you should end up with a successful application at the end of it, because I know even professional users have struggled with the complex forms in COP anyway, which we're trying to address with the digital flow, and we've simplified a lot of the language and simplified the request and kind of narrowed it down in the journey to you can't go past this point if you haven't done this, and that's it guides people through now. So hopefully it will be quite a supportive process for litigants in person as well as professional users.
Brilliant, thank you. Really mindful of time now, so I'm going to do 2 questions, one practical and then one for you, Jess, to kind of give your sense on. So the first one is, local authority teams will not have PBAs. How should they be making payment?
Local authorities should have PBAs. There's no, plenty of our local authorities do have and do use PBAs. So yeah, reach out to us if you're having any problems with setting that up, and we can try and support. But there's no problems with local authorities having one or a few different accounts depending on departments.
Okay. Now, earlier in the session, you referenced your user list. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Whether it's open for people to join and what happens if they are able to?
Yeah, this just maybe we could, after this, we'll provide an email address where people can reach out to be added to that. Basically, we have court user lists in each of the regional hubs, as well as First Avenue House have court user lists, and any updates or any developments and things are all publicised and let us go out through those paths, as well as we've done quite a lot of outreach through the Law Society and COPPA and things for this upfront notification as well. So, but hear it from the horse's mouth. If you send in, we'll circulate an email address, and then you can provide your details to there, and we'll add you to our court user list, and then we'll provide all updates and information on there for you.
So just to add, with a lot of what you send out to the user list, a number of those updates also go out via the HMCTS weekly update, and we'll include in the email that we send after this a link to that where you can sign up so you can really keep up to date with developments as they're happening and be aware of maybe any tweaks to portals and things like that. I'm really aware that we're about to run out of time, and there's also still quite a lot of questions we've not answered. So after this session, when we send out the email, please do send any outstanding questions to me, and we'll do our very best to come back on those. And just to remind you that the session's been recorded, we'll send out slides, a link to the online video of this session, guidance, anything and everything that we've used here today, so that you've got it all at your fingertips. But otherwise, I think hopefully you've all found this really helpful, and we really welcome your feedback as well. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for attending, everybody.